apart from the firm laws in respect to the taking of interest, the Jubilee of the 50th year, Leviticus 25:2, if fully enforced, would render any effort to create monopoly ineffective. That's right. And God knew what he was doing. Mycenae, with all their riches, thus set off on their eternal journey with that small store of gold that the crafty Babylonian moneymen had trained them to regard as wealth, as opposed to the real wealth of an organized state, whose money was the benevolent law of the ruler in relation to surpluses, and directed towards the good and continuing life of the people, and no more. Those who had power and made men to marvel at their riches. This line indicates that Solon, like so many equally worthy people of this day, knew that money was an evil without understanding what it was about money that made it so. Not the halving of the precious metal pieces of the banker, recording the number of units represented, for such metal money lying inert beneath the floors has no meaning so far as the quickening or slowing of the pulse of life is concerned. Abstract units of exchange media that have not yet been recorded in the ledger on account of no suitable demand for them. Yes, suitable to the banker. And of course they are without limit, nor even the spending of it as the holder according to law might choose. The evil in the forgetfulness of the ruler, that money is no more than a recording of his law of exchange, its magnitude being governed by the number of units indicated. It can never be treasure which is merely items carrying with them a high valuation in relation to such units, relative to their desirability and portability. evil about money derives in consequence from lack of understanding of its true nature, and particularly from the confusing of money and treasure. It is the persistent failure of mankind to realize that money is but the result of agreement being arrived at amongst a sovereign people through their ruler to provide themselves with a system of numbers by which their exchanges might be facilitated, and so help them to live a better life. The evil lay, and it may be said lies, in the forgetfulness of the ruler to respect his duty to provide an adequate money supply for his people, regulated by himself and free of obligation to external forces. The Hebrew records also appear to verify this use of metal rings, or spirals, being used in settlement of trade balances between foreigners, or of being storehouses of wealth. According to Madden, however, there is no mention of gold money in ancient Hebrew records, though gold constituted part of the wealth of Abraham, undoubtedly refugee from Ur, about the time of its destruction by the Gutim. The 600 shekels of gold by weight, paid by David for the threshing floor, and the oxen of Ornan, and the 6,000 shekels of gold taken by Naaman on his journey to the king of Israel, do not imply money. Nor can the passage, "They lavish gold out of the bag and weigh silver in the balance," or "Wisdom cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof," be brought forward in favor of gold money. Gold was generally employed for personal ornament and for adornment of the temple. It is probable, therefore,
it's already happened.
It is probable, therefore, that a system of jewel currency, or ring money, was in use. The case of Rebekah, to whom the servant of Abraham gave a gold earring of half a shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight, proves that the ancient Hebrews made their jewels of a specific weight, so as to know the value of these ornaments in employing them in lieu of money. that the Egyptians kept their bullion in jewels and rings is not merely indicated by the scene on the monuments, as mentioned by Lenormant and Maspero, in which they are represented as weighing rings of gold, silver, and copper, but also by the findings of archaeology, such as the copper rings found at Tel Amarna, stamped with the cartouche of Khuan-Aten, Hyksos ruler. These rings would appear to have been retained in the treasury at Tel Amarna, and therefore still were current 200 years after the expulsion of the so-called Hyksos. According to Breasted, golden copper rings of a fixed weight circulated in large-scale business in the time of the Old Kingdom, and, significantly enough to the student of banking, or private money creation and regulation, as it might be better known, stone weights were already marked with their equivalents in such rings. The circulation as money of these promises to pay, recorded on stone, pointedly suggests the likelihood of the activities of a secret fraternity.
It's already happened.